So let's get one thing out of the way. Like a lot of people, I love The Mandalorian and I love Baby Yoda slash Grogu. Do I think every episode has been a hit? No. Do I think every season has been a hit? No. But over three really good seasons and one Boba Fett show, Din Djarin and Grogu have become some of my favorite Star Wars characters. So naturally, I was gonna be hyped for The Mandalorian and Grogu. There's two parts of my adult brain, right? The cynical side knows that this is Lucasfilm cashing in on their IP again. This was probably going to be season 4, and then someone said, why not put it in cinemas and plaster the words IMAX and ScreenX and 4DX all over it because, money and shit. So they cobbled this together by compressing the entire 8-episode arc of season 4 into a 2-hour movie, which is probably what happened. There's also the side of my brain that just absolutely loves this stuff. The side that loves Star Wars, that loves Mando and Grogu, that loves how every time we get one of these movies or shows, it adds a tiny piece to the Star Wars mythos. And from that vantage point, I really enjoyed The Mandalorian and Grogu. There were some amazing action sequences, some amazing cinematography, and composer Ludwig Göransson expanded on The Mandalorian score and soundtrack in such a fantastic and creative way. It was great in IMAX and I would watch it again, sure. There are portions of this movie that are pure cinematic bliss. The opening 10 minutes is an incredible action sequence, high octane, fast pace, and it immediately reminds you why you love The Mandalorian in the first place. There's some practical effects work here that I love. Seeing Grogu is always a treat. He's adorable. The Babu Fricks or the Babu's Frick and a lot of the creature effects are pure puppetry. And they're puppets, but that's what makes them all so special. There's also a good 20 minutes in the second half of the movie that I think is my favorite portion of the film. The creature design and the creature effects, the score, the cinematography, the pacing, again, the music by Ludwig Göransson. I'd watch it again for those 20 minutes alone because it looked and sounded like blockbuster Star Wars stuff in the cinema. The way it's supposed to be. There is so much to love in The Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's a movie I think that I'll appreciate the more times I see it. I think my big issue with the movie is, as much as I enjoyed it, I can't tell who it's for or why it exists. You can make 1,000 jokes from that sentence alone, but it's a very real question by itself. Like from a business standpoint, sure, it exists to make money, but from a creative standpoint, what was the why behind telling this story? Now, it sounds like a simple question, but as people, we can subconsciously tell the purpose behind the film. Like we know why the story needs to be told because it changes the characters in some way. They're not exactly the same at the end of the movie as they were when the movie started. You can tell that story in 5 minutes or 3 hours, but there is always a change. As much as I liked The Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie does nothing to evolve the characters in any way. Both Din Djarin and Grogu don't have an arc in this movie. Like sure, the movie goes along and we meet different characters and go from different world to different world, but both Din Djarin and Grogu are 100% constants throughout the film. Which is two things, right? It's weird and it's wasteful. Wasteful because both these characters are extremely rich with backstory or potential backstory. Even though we've learned so much about them in seasons 1 to 3 of the Disney Plus show, there's still a lot of mystery to them, to their stories, to Mando's understanding of being a guardian, of an adopted father, of Grogu's origins, his species and where he fits in the larger Star Wars tapestry. And we know both of these characters aren't in the sequel trilogy, so what happened? Where did they go? How powerful did Grogu get? There's such a rich well to mine from. And weird because, well, the people behind this are genuine Star Wars fans. Both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are proper nerds for the franchise who also happen to be good storytellers, which makes me think that they thought having a story revolve around Rotter the Hutt, who's voiced by Jeremy Allen White, would be a strong enough plot. But it isn't. Don't get me wrong, it's a good story, but it's not a movie story. Just because they got Jeremy Allen White to do voice work doesn't mean this is a compelling enough story. It's a good sub-story for a season. It's a good 10% quest in a video game. It's a fantastic Clone Wars episode for sure. But I don't think anyone cares about the Hutts enough to make it the why of this movie. In recent years, no thanks to the MCU, people have become exhausted by interconnected universes and movies, always planting the seeds for the next movie and then the next movie and then the next movie. This movie doesn't have that problem because it doesn't set up the next movie. It barely sets up the next season, if there is one, and it exists purely in its own bubble. So much so that I think it went in the opposite direction and serves as sort of a one-off Mando Grogu special or bottle episode and has no real impact on the larger Mando Grogu storyline. Like really, you don't have to watch a single episode of the TV show to be able to watch this movie, and you don't have to watch this movie to be able to watch the TV show. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm curious and confused. And more importantly, I want my main message to be to the people at Lucasfilm: figure your shit out fast, please. The Mandalorian and Grogu currently have a 62% score on Rotten Tomatoes. We can't keep... This is insane, right? The first Star Wars movie in 7 years and it's doing the wobbly numbers thing? This should be showing an 80% at least score on Rotten Tomatoes. Cinema should be packed worldwide. Star Wars should be a pop culture phenomenon again. I can't speak for everyone, but I think people like being Star Wars fans. I think I miss the era when a Star Wars movie was an event, when it was must-see. The Mandalorian and Grogu are rich characters that are too good to have a movie that doesn't build on their lore. They are too good for a movie that's struggling on Rotten Tomatoes. Jon Favreau is too good of a director, Dave Filoni is too good of a storyteller, and Ludwig Göransson is too good of a composer for this sort of movie. We can't be doing this. It's crazy that they have a brand as big as Star Wars, characters as beloved as Mando and Grogu, and a shockingly talented crew of filmmakers, and the result is a movie that, again, I enjoyed, but doesn't really have a purpose. Because look, there was a time when Star Wars was everything, and then there was a time when Star Wars was nothing, and the last time we got a Star Wars movie in the cinema was 7 years ago. So yeah, I appreciate the times we get to see these things on the big screen, the way they are supposed to be, where they belong. And I want more Star Wars in cinemas. I really do. I want more Star Wars films. I want Star Wars shot on film. I want Star Wars on the scale of Dune. I want Star Wars with 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. But for all that to happen, they really need to figure out why they are making these movies in the first place.